Yeah, hi everybody. This is Ryan here, back with you again. Made it back from British Columbia, Canada. Delivered my load of mulch down in Minneapolis here a little bit ago, and over here outside of La Crosse, Wisconsin right now at a little mom and pop truck stop here on I-90. Just heading back home. Should leave out of here tonight and get back home tomorrow morning. But I kind of want to update y'all on the latest settlement. I got paid on Wednesday, so I had a really good week last week with those two shorter loads, or they were about 800 miles each that I did from California up to Idaho, southern Idaho, then had one out of Salt Lake City up to Spokane, Washington. I'm going to give you all a heads up in Washington State. I was doing a 500-mile search radius from Spokane, so that puts me in a pretty big area. Gets me over to Seattle in that area, even even almost down to Portland, and there was nothing up there. And like I said, I had to get that load out of Canada. That was kind of a lot lower rate than I would have liked. It was roughly like $1, I think it was like $1.95 load board rate. So to me, it was roughly $1.35. And as I know, I've put out like my costs are about 76 cents, right around there, depending on fuel price, so which is getting lower as we kind of go along here. So yeah, so I didn't really make the, I like to be usually 75 to 80 cents on the minimum side, so it was quite a bit lower than that, but at least we got me back to this part of the country. I actually booked two loads out of Minnesota. Actually, I had two of them over in Wisconsin, and both of them canceled literally like within 5 minutes after I booked them. I called the agent and said, hey, is the load available? Yeah, here. I'll get you dispatched, and both of them called back or text within 5 or 10 minutes, and they fell through. So it's Thursday morning here, or it was Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon now, and so most of the loads for Friday are already booked, and the decent ones. I was kind of looking on the board, and I'm seeing stuff on the load board, $1.50, $1.40. But the best is like $1.60, $1.70, and most of them, 45,000 pounds, and going a little bit farther past where I live over into Pennsylvania and stuff like that. And a lot of them are food type products, so you're going to grocery houses, and I can do a whole another video on why I try to avoid that type of stuff. But so most likely to get a decent load, I'd sit out here till Monday, and I'm 750 miles from my house. I made pretty good this last basically two and a half weeks. It'll be tomorrow. I left on a Wednesday, so 2 weeks and 2 days, 16 days basically I've been out, and I've done with the load I delivered today. I'll get paid for that next Wednesday, and all in all, I'll be a little over $7,000. That's after all my fuel expenses and stuff that Landstar takes out. The only thing I have on my side is my insurance through First Guard, $135 a month. And I take out about $300 a week for my truck payments. So other than those two expenses, so that insurance is basically almost $40, I guess $40 a week roughly. So $340 that I could take off that for 2 weeks. So my basically net income is well over $6,000 for the last basically less than 2.5 weeks. So at that point, I decided it's not worth sitting out here for 4 days when I'm that close to home, and I'm losing 4 days where I could just go home and do my home time and be looking for something else to get back out on the road, instead of taking a load that's basically I'm going to make $400 or $500 on for sitting out here for 4 days. So it's just not worth it. So that's why I kind of cut my losses, go back home. As cheap as fuel is, driving that far back home, I get pretty good mileage empty. I'll be on like $150, $200 to drive home, so it's not that big of a deal. And that's one of the things when you're out here as an owner-operator, you got to kind of look at those types of scenarios. And I've already been planning, because I haven't seen a lot popping up over here. And the last time I came back through Minnesota, Wisconsin, it was kind of the same way. I had a load cancel, and it was on a Friday, and I said I'm not going to sit here for 3-4 days, for, like I said, basically $400 or $500. It's just better off, just in my opinion, go home, do your home time, find a good load. I'm in a pretty good freight area in Ohio, to grab something and get back. A nice long haul out west is kind of my philosophy. But I was kind of planning for that over the last week as kind of a plan B if I couldn't find something that's worth taking. And as I said, I'll get on the load board here in a second and I'll show you that settlement statement. But these rates have gotten really low. I mean, they really took a nosedive here. I mean, I've done really well. I'm glad. If you go back to my first COVID-19 update video, that's kind of what I looked at some of the other you know, freight waves and DATs and all that, and a lot of the analysts were kind of predicting that there was going to be this cliff, and I kind of piggybacked on that, and I kind of saw as high as the rates were in the volume back a couple weeks ago. I kind of figured there was going to be a slowdown. That's why I've pretty well ran pretty hard the last 6 weeks. I mean, and for the most part, for the whole year, I've been running pretty hard. So, and I quite frankly, I've had enough. I'm kind of burnt out. I've had enough of the COVID-19, the signs that this is closed, and the X's. I'm over it. I've had enough of it, and just kind of want to go home for a week and a half, and decompress for a while, and you know, I can have whatever I want to eat, not have to worry about places being closed, and have a beer if you want and all that good stuff. So just like I said, ready to go back. But I'll show you that settlement statement I had from last week, and I'll show you a little bit on the load board, kind of what the rates are doing. And like I said, I'll show you that, and we'll comment more in a minute. So. Okay. So here is last week's statement. So, or for Wednesday, but I got paid Wednesday for what it was for last week. So I did that Fresno, California to Burley, Idaho, and basically on that one there, we did a little over $2,000, $2,100 on that for, I think it was about 750 miles, 780 miles or so. So not too bad on that one. I took out $300 for fuel. The second load, I did head it down to Salt Lake City. It was like 2.5 hours down there, and I had that load up to Spokane, Washington, a battery. These are both, this was a hazmat tanker load, and this one here was a hazmat load of car batteries. So they're both hazmat. So rates have been halfway decent for hazmat, and I've been doing a lot of hazmat, and so I've got that first load I did out to California was a hazmat load. But so my total after expenses, fuel and all that, I was at 3304. You know, they take out all their stuff, which we went over before, and so that put me at 3119. And I think I had some fuel tax, March fuel tax came out there. It was 43 bucks. So I was almost just under you know, just under $3,100 total for last week. So the first week we talked and I went over the statements. I think we did like 2850. Then this one here, so that puts us at like 59, a little over 5,900. Then like I said, this load I did now with the fuel I took out, and I took out extra fuel because I was looking ahead as far as having to drive back home, because the way things were kind of looking, I was kind of preparing for that. But I still should do a little over $1,000 after the fuel and extra fuel money and all that I took out. So it's always kind of good to plan ahead. But this is a search I have set up, 350 mile radius of where I live up by, you know, Akron, Cleveland, and yeah, the rates are pretty low. So these over here are the rate per mile, and as I said, this is not the rate. This is the rate they're charging. This is not the rate you get. So like I said, you get to times that by about 0.68 or so, because you're gonna get the 65% plus the surcharge. So there are some high rates, 290, and I thought I saw one for 3.304, but these loads are going to Jacksonville, Florida. I think all those ones that are high, that one's Jacksonville, Florida, and Louisville to Louisville. So that's a brokered load, a double or triple brokered load. So when you call about that load, it's probably not even gonna be available, or they're gonna try. Oh, they came back and said, can you take $2.50 or $2? So that I wouldn't even. It's probably not even a good rate. This CAN here, I do business with them a lot. Those are direct shipper freight, So that is a good rate, and that load is available if I called about it. I'd give it 95% chance odds if I called about that load's available, and that's going to be a good rate. So that gives you a good gauge of what the rates actually are. And so that 208, that's going to put you down to like $1. But the thing about those, I know what that load is. That's a cabinet load, and they got multi-stops, and you get a lot more accessories where you're getting 100%. So with those loads, you're actually up at about 70, 72, 70%. So you'd probably be closer to $1.50 on that load, roughly $1.45, $1.50. And they're lighter loads. But still, I've seen those loads a lot higher than that, so they're probably off 40 to 50 cents. So yeah, so it's just and there's not as many loads. And this starts tomorrow, and I did 8 days out. So this is basically all next week. And I did a minimum of $1,500 and a minimum $1,500 on revenue, and a minimum of $2 on the rate per mile. And there's only 64 loads. So yeah, so we'll click on this one. See, these have a lot of stops, but the reason I like these loads a lot, because you get a lot more of that broke out at a higher rate, 100% rate. So you're getting a bigger portion of that line haul at 100% versus the 65. Plus they're dropping hooks, so that's pretty good that way. You know, preloaded trailer, and it's a direct shipper. So those are both two good things going for it. But still, those rates are off quite a bit from what we've seen a few weeks ago. So so I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update there on kind of where we are at Landstar and the market in general. Like I said, there's a lot of states that are going to be kind of opening back up, so that's why I kind of planned this. I was going to run hard till this cliff kind of fell off, and I banked quite a bit. You know, I've probably got about close to $5,000 that I had saved up. So I mean, that'd get me through quite a while. I mean, I could pretty much sit home, you know, through June if I wanted to, just with that, just paying truck payment and other little things. Again, my wife's she's still working and has income on that end, so like I said, I can handle all my expenses with the truck and all that. And I got some maintenance and stuff to do on the truck. We're gonna put some brakes on, brake shoes, brake drums, so be watching out for those videos on that. That's a pretty easy project, and like I said, in these times we got to cut costs any way we can out here, so that means doing the stuff yourself. You know, I'm glad to help out. You know, anybody got any questions about maintenance or any things of that nature, throw those out there, and you know, I'll do what I can to answer your questions or to put a video out. I had a couple questions from some of the viewers in the comments on a couple videos as far as asking if I do reefer or dry van. I do 100 dry van only. That's what I've always done. I went over to Mercer. I was looking to kind of break into flatbed because they had a pretty good purchase program with the flatbed or step deck over there. But like, as soon as I went there, the rates the bottom dropped out, and all the guys who had those trailers, they were pulling dry vans, you know, like making the dry van rates even worse than it was. But the rates I was seeing and the rates that I'm still seeing is that you know, I hear a lot of guys saying they're getting $2 a mile for step deck, and like I've averaged, you know, $1.85, $1.90, something, you know. It's kind of going back down now, but I think this year I'm close to $2, you know, to me on revenue. So at that rate, I'm not going to go out and tarp and chain and strap stuff, and you know, then you got to worry about this stuff when you go down the road. Unless I can get another 50 cents on top of what I'm doing for van, because van, all I do is put a strap across the back, shut the doors, and you go down the road. I mean, you ain't really worried about it. But if I got to do that much extra work, I mean, I want at least 50 cents more on the mile to me to do that extra work. So I mean, unless I get to that point, I'm not gonna be on that side. Reefer, I've never done reefer. My dad's done reefer a little bit, so what I know is basically from him. I'm not a fan of grocery houses and delivering to them. I pretty much get screwed at every grocery house I go to. I mean, that's you know, Aldi's, Kroger's, all those places. I don't know how those reefer guys, how you guys put up with it. It's not for me, and I don't like sitting places for 6 or 8 hours. And I can do a whole another video on that topic because I've got plenty of bad stories to go along with it. But like I said, I just want to give you a little update. And like I said, I'm going to be heading back on tomorrow morning. If you watch, you know, we got to do. I got some maintenance videos I'm going to be putting out probably next week. And we'll probably be doing a little bit of farm work if you're interested in the farm side that we do, and the antique tractors that I work on. I got some stuff to put out on those, so be looking out for those. If you got any questions, feel free to ask, subscribe, like the video, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks.